Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Okay, a little Saturday check-down edition of Purple Daily here. Judd has a take that he gave us off microphone about a portion of the Vikings schedule that we want to bring to the show here. I feel like it's a good thing to flesh out. Presented in part by Neos Elite Performance, which is a company now being run by Eric Sugarman, former longtime head athletic trainer for the Vikings, and he joined the show a couple Mondays ago, if you missed that podcast. But yeah, Neos Elite, Judd.
Yeah, so if you were, I don't know, a golfer, a basketball player at one time, if you enjoyed your sports and now guess what? You don't, because your back hurts, your knee hurts. Our friends at Neos Elite Performance are going to help you get back on your feet, and better yet, they're going to help you get back on the court or the golf course. Their cutting-edge regenerative medicine and cellular IV therapy is designed to get you going again. And here's the best part, folks, without invasive procedures. White glove service, which means it's delivered to your home. They come to you. No trips to the doctors, no trips to the hospital. If you are being slowed, if you want to get back to feeling like you used to, their therapies are going to reduce the pain, restore the function, and get you back to doing what you love. If you reference Purple Daily to them, you are going to get $500 off a cellular IV therapy treatment. No surgery, no downtime, just results. Get back to being you. How does that start? By visiting them at neoselite.com, Neos elite.com.
Also, a shout out to Federated Mutual Insurance Company. If you're a business owner out there, you want to make sure that you have a plan in place to stay focused on safety, preventing claims, risk management. Like we say here, it's like having a great offensive line protecting your business. They have over 100 years of experience in working with companies in the state of Minnesota and also in the other 49 states. So wherever you are consuming this podcast, wherever your business is, you can check out federatedinsurance.com, see which industries they specialize in, and see how they can help you and your company. Federated, where it's our business to protect yours. So, Judd, give us your take here on the podcast about, we've talked a lot about the first 5 weeks being a gettable portion of the schedule, but that week 7 through 10 period out of the bye. Let's talk about that.
Okay, so just to be very clear here, I'm not saying that the Vikings have to sweep that. It's a very difficult portion, okay? So hear me out on what week 7 through 10 mean, in my opinion, to the 2025 Vikings. The Vikings have gone to painstaking measures, have spent a ton in free agency to build what looks to be a tougher team. Interior offensive line, no question. It's not only better, it's tougher. Defensive tackles, you've added 2 vets there. Guys who have been there, guys who know what the experience of big-time football is like. And it's my opinion that weeks 7 through 10 are going to determine the identity, the DNA of the 2025 team. Eagles at home, Chargers, a Harbaugh-led team on the road, so a tough Chargers team on a Thursday night. So you're going to go Eagles on Sunday. Whew. Okay, that game's done. Oh, hold on a second. No practice time, and we have to get on a plane and go to Los Angeles. Then you come back, and on the 2nd of November, in week 9, you get the Lions. More smash mouth football. And then you go, so the Detroit game is at Ford Field. Week 10, you get the Ravens, more smash mouth football at home. I think that 4-game stretch, in my opinion, first of all, is like a playoff stretch. Because there's I don't perceive a weakness there. And second of all, I think it's going to stress the level of which you have built your team to be able to punch back, to be mentally tough, to be a team that does not have what occurred, I think, in week 18 at Detroit last year, when the Vikings were worn out. They were a tougher team, but they were worn out. They got punched and they couldn't get back up. This is going to be 4 games of heavyweight 15-round fights, and I think it's going to go a long ways towards determining the real identity of Kevin O'Connell's Vikings.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Your run defense was pretty damn good last year statistically, but it sometimes felt like it didn't pass the eye test, the smell test. We've talked a lot about getting interior pressure from a pass rushing standpoint. I still wonder a little bit about the Vikings rush defense, like run stopping defense. I think they've taken some measures to make it better, and certainly having Blake Cashman available as much as possible. Ivan Pace, like those guys are. But when you look at last year in the NFL, team rushing offense, only 5 teams averaged 140 or more yards per game and scored at least 20 rushing touchdowns. I think all of them are on your schedule. A lot, like multiple times. The Ravens, the Eagles, the Commanders, the Packers twice, and the Lions twice. So 7 of your 17 games are against, you could argue, the best rushing offenses in the NFL from last year. And I didn't include the Chargers because the Chargers weren't quite there yet personnel-wise. They wanted to run the ball more, but it was year 1 for Jim Harbaugh and company and Greg Roman. But they added Mekhi Becton to that offensive line. They overhauled their running back room. It'll be another year in the Jim Harbaugh scheme. Joe Alt, who was, a top 5 pick at tackle, you're going to have another year for him. So I think the Chargers aspire to be in that group of 5 or 6 elite rushing attacks. And they're certainly going to, from an attempt standpoint, based on the history of Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman, they're going to run the ball. So, yeah, I mean, I love this take from Judd. You could argue that those 4 games are going to be 4 of the best smash mouth, run the ball teams in the NFL. And you're going to have to find a way. One of them is a short week against the Chargers. You're going to have to find a way to go 2-2. If you break this schedule up into chunks,
sure,
I'd love to see 4-1 in those first 5 games. I think 5-0 is on the table. I'd love to see 4-1. I'd love to see 2-2 in those 4 games out of the bye, and that would get you to 6-3. Maybe not quite where you were at last year, but 6-3 going into kind of the second half of your schedule.
Yeah, because they have a easier start to their season, they have to bank those wins early. So, I think them getting off to a nice start is obviously going to be very big there. Patrick, I will call you back, Royce. Royce's calling me, blowing up my phone right now.
Are we
doing this? I can't go at 11:30. I'm in the car. But last year, there was a knock against the Green Bay Packers about how they, fell short in every big game, right? Like they beat up on all the softies and they just got waxed or didn't even come close in a lot of the big games. I am actually curious because if they get off to the nice start, how do they respond though against those 4 teams? Because there will be a lot of narratives about can JJ McCarthy beat the good team, right? So if they show up against the Eagles, Chargers, Lions, Ravens, that's going to be a big litmus test for them.
May I also suggest as an ancillary storyline to the week 7 through 10 gauntlet that your depth is going to be tested, because I'm hard pressed to believe that you won't have some starters out for like you're going to play the Eagles on a Sunday and then you're telling me the same 22 is going to be good to go on Thursday. So I do think like if your depth is ever going to be tested, it's in this stretch, because you're going to have somebody, hopefully not a lot, but you're going to have guys get hurt. And we all know that the recovery from Sunday to Thursday is essentially not possible.
Yeah.
So I do think that that's another part of the storyline is the depth that you have built is going to have to come through, because you're going to have a guy to hopefully not more miss time during that stretch.
I'll throw another team in terms of the grind and the wear and tear of this schedule. You don't think of Pittsburgh's offense as being explosive, and especially if like Mason Rudolph is their quarterback, it's not going to be someone that you worry about. I would even argue that if 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers is their quarterback, not too concerned. But they run the ball. Like they're not great at running the ball. They're not the Eagles at running the ball, but the Steelers had the 4th most rushing attempts. They were one of only 6 teams to run the ball 500 times last year. Not quite the same effectiveness as the Lions and the Eagles, et cetera. They were like the Ravens were 5.8 yards per carry. The Eagles were 5 yards a carry. Lions were close to 5. Steelers were 4 yards a carry. But they're going to try and run the ball a lot against you, almost certainly. So, yeah, like add them to half of your schedule is going to try and absolutely run the ball through your soul. And a lot of those games are scrunched up in this sort
You
of
got to play the sounder.
Week 4. Which
you got to
one?
play the football
this one?
sounder. You can't.
You want
yeah,
this
you
one?
can't say run the ball through your soul.
Your soul is mine.
Yeah.
I'm coming for your
But
soul.
the Vikings, I think they would fancy themselves a team that can do that to opposing teams, but they haven't been at all really in the Kevin O'Connell. They ran the ball more last year than they did in the first 2 years under KOC. But it was still kind of, when it came down to it, you're at the 12-yard line. Right. He's going to call pass plays because he didn't trust that they could run the ball into the end zone. So that's going to be a big test. Are you going to counter Eagles, Chargers, Lions, and Ravens' toughness and wanting to run the ball by throwing the ball 40 times with J.J. McCarthy? Or are you going to be able to, with your revamped offensive line, Jordan Mason in that running back room, et cetera, be able to punch them right back? That's the question.
And let's talk strategy, too. During this stretch especially, but yes, the entire schedule, to your point, is difficult in that vein. You need to run the ball effectively to eat clock because you do not want your defense, like these are games where you do not want to subject your defense to an inordinate amount of time spent trying to stop the opponent. So the run game becomes important, not just because its effectiveness helps you offensively, but because it eats clock. And you want to eat clock with McCarthy and the boys out there much more than say, hey, B-Flow, got to go do it again.
Yeah. Yep. No, those are all good points because it does kind of feel like sometimes the Vikings get toward the end of a game the last few years and they know you're going to run the ball to try and run clock. And it feels really daunting to get those 10 yards before fourth down. Right. I don't know. We could probably go back and verify, like when the Vikings have a lead and they're trying to close out a game. But anecdotally, it feels like if they know that the Vikings are going to run the ball, the Vikings probably aren't converting a first down in 3 run plays. Right. But the Lions and the Eagles and the Ravens helps to have Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry and Jahmyr Gibbs, and the Vikings don't quite have anyone on that level. But when opposing teams, let's say the Eagles are up by 6 points near midfield with 2.5 minutes to go and one more first down ends the game, and they're going to run and you can't do anything about it because of that offensive line and Saquon Barkley. Can the Vikings get closer to that level where even when they know you're going to run and there's 9.5 guys in that box, you can block it up. You can get your 6 yards.
Can they come for your soul? That's what you're asking.
And then you come back for theirs.
That's what I'm saying. The Vikings are like, we're going to rip your soul out.
It's like Indiana Jones' Temple of Doom.
Yeah. Shang
Molaram, Skolaram.
I'm very excited for the season right now. I'm very excited for the season right now.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, that we were talking about this on Feedback Friday. When the schedule comes out, it's just like, yes, now you get a feel for the flow of this thing, and it's pretty great.
Yeah, my wife always says that she likes my work schedule more during football season because it's much more regulated, right? Like we know, even though the Vikings might play Sunday or like it's football season, there's going to be a game this week. Like it's obviously there's some overlap with Twins, Wolves, Wild, etc. But she always likes the football season more than the off-season version of my life and schedule.
Well, you can kind of put it on a calendar. We do the calendar. We do the weekly calendar. We're formulating Christmas plans on May 16th because the Vikings are playing on Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Already formulating those plans.
Yeah. That's you get a nice little gap there between Christmas and we don't know exactly what day, but it'll be like January 3rd or 4th that they play against the Packers. And then you get the Packers at home too, so you get two great games in snowy Minneapolis potentially for weeks 17 and week 18. So yeah, let us know in the Purple Daily YouTube comment section just any of your favorite schedule quirks or things about the schedule that if there's things we haven't talked about yet this week regarding their schedule. But I think Judd's onto it here with his week 7 through 10. It's not just a hard slate of games. It's a physical It's a physical litmus test for who you want to be in 2025.
Yep. I think going into the week 11 game against the Bears here, you're going to have a really good read on the potential of this team.
Yeah, I agree. So, all right, dudes, that's a wrap on this little Saturday check down episode. If you haven't already, click that like button and the subscribe button on the Purple Daily YouTube channel, and then over on Apple and Spotify. You can help us keep growing this awesome community of Vikings fans by giving us a 5-star rating and a positive review. So yeah, we'll see you for a little vent line with Dex tomorrow, and then we'll be back with latest Vikings news before you know it.